Yeah, no, trust me, she's heard me say it all. So, okay, all right, Miss Rhiannon, address YouTube.
Hello YouTube, it's me again. Last week's math was super hard, chapter 2, but you gotta push through it. Alright. Hashtag 17.
And for all of you, this is the day after the debate last night. We are currently embarrassed as a nation. We're embarrassed. It's a it's a sad situation for us. Sad situation. Oh well. Thankfully, even when politics are bad, we know that mathematics does not change. It's always good. I think I would make a great president. Yeah, here's how I would win. Here's how I would win. I'll tell you, it'd be very simple. I would run saying I am going to expose all of the horrible aspects of government that nobody wants to talk about. All the things that are going wrong in the government, I will expose every single one. Every single senator that's dirty, every single representative that's dirty, all of the lobbying that goes on that's wrong, I will expose it all. And I will bring back finally integrity. Yeah. You know what? Here's the only problem. I'd be dead in a week. Like, I get shot. Yeah. All right. What is f of a plus h? Instead of x, I plug in. So I have 2 over a plus h plus 3 minus 2 over a plus 3. Very good. And that's all over h. Now, you have to begin to appreciate my job as a teacher because I'm very proud at this moment because I can look at this, and although this creates anxiety from some of you recognize that we've actually had this basically identical problem. It was in chapter 1.4 where we're teaching you how to simplify complex fractions, right? So I do try to set the learning there so you're not doing something that's double new, but rather just a small piece. So plugging in the a plus h is the only thing that's new to us. Simplifying from here on out, we've actually done before. Now, if I'm going to do voodoo mathematics, how would I create common denominators? Yeah, I would just add an h over there, right? I mean, so that would be like if you had 1 over 7 plus 2 over 5. Well, in order to make the 5 a 7, let's just add 2 to the top and 2 to the bottom, right? I mean, that would. But no, that's what I'm saying. That's the temptation. That's the temptation that we would add the h, and you can't do that. So what I need to do is multiply. Now the reason why the reason why people don't want to do this because it looks really lengthy and it looks cumbersome. But the fact is it's really not that bad because you're super smart. Your test scores say that. So let's distribute. What do you got in the numerator? 2a plus 6. And that denominator is going to be yes, all over over 1. Sweet. So now what we have, control yourself, Nemec. So now what we have is we have a complex fraction. We will divide by we will multiply by the reciprocal, right? And if instead divide by h over 1, if you multiply by 1 over h, you just get an h in the denominator, correct? So now I got rid of that. Now what cancels? Everything that doesn't have an h. If it doesn't work out, then you did something incorrect. So now I have a new numerator, which is negative 2h over h times a plus 3 times a plus h plus 3. I would love to be able to tell you why, but it involves some pretty complex calculus stuff that we're not ready for. But it is beautiful, isn't it? Cool. All right, now does the H cancel? Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Every time it will work like that. So here's what we did. Last week we did f of x, g of x, and h of x. And then furthermore, I gave you an assignment practicing that. And then we did a checkpoint today on that. So what we want to do today is we want to do a rational expression, and we want to do two radicals. Okay? And I will say that you guys will be good at this, and you're doing an excellent job on this on your test. But if we can't do this lesson, you will be incapable of doing calculus. It's that important. Just slap him next time, Jenna. Okay. So, next one. F of a plus h is what? Square root of? A plus h plus 5, right? What's f of a? Square root of a plus 5. And it's minus with an h in the denominator, right? That's our rule. The rule that we're trying to figure out is f of a plus h minus f of a all over h. Yes? Excellent idea. We would love to square everything. Only, let's say you have this. Let's say you have 1 plus 2 over 8. And you're like, well, let's square the 1. Let's square the 2. And let's square the 8. Those are not equivalent expressions, are they? No, not at all. I mean, we just made that up, right? So then you're like, well, Mr. Gens, I never meant that. Let's square both sides. What do you mean both sides? There's no equal sign, right? You can't even, it's like, well, let's square this side, then square the other. And even if you did have another side, if you were to square this, you would have to take this and multiply it by itself, right? And then you'd come up with that middle that's really, really horrible. Yeah. So this is f of a plus h. So we are doing this rule. It's not f times f of a plus h. That's what we're doing. And so we've got this piece right here. So I can get rid of this altogether. I'm just writing it to help you guys see that this is the example. Now, here's the key to doing this problem. In order to do this problem, you got to do Spanish. You okay with that? Let's do some Spanish. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Give me a Spanish verb. What? Jugar? What is that? Yeah, to play. Okay, great. All right. So let's say that you want to say, I play. Then what is it? Juego. Oh. Why couldn't we do hablar or something instead? That's dumb. All right, how about I want to say, well, come on. Obviously, a math major didn't make up Spanish. Otherwise, there wouldn't be all these exceptions to the rules. Okay, so we got juego. Okay, what about if it's if she talks or plays? She plays. She plays. What is it? Juega. And if it's we play, it's juegamos. See why? Why do they do that? A boot verb. Let's just make it up as we go. My gosh. Could you imagine if math had rules like that? You guys would hate math even more than you do now. Okay? All right. So, here's the idea. What is that called? When I just did that, what's that called? I conjugate. Conjugate means to change the ending, right? And math existed long before Spanish, and conjugate is something that Spanish didn't come up with, but math came up with. And I'll show you. Watch. This is beautiful. Watch, watch, watch. These are conjugates because the ending is changed. See it? One's a plus 3, one's a minus 3. And when you multiply them together, here's what's so beautiful about conjugates. When you multiply them together, you get the first one squared, you get the last one squared, and there's nothing in the middle, right? That's awesome. And so what we want to do in this problem is you want to cancel off the A's and you want to cancel off the 5's, but you can't because they're underneath the square root sign. So like you said, we like to get rid of that square root. And the way we do it is we do Spanish. We multiply by the conjugate. Yeah. Times juegamos. Question, go. Good. Okay. This is f of a plus h. I just wrote it to help you understand. This thing right here is f of a plus h. This is f of a, all divided by h. Now, as we multiply by the conjugate, remember, you got that x minus 3 times x plus 3. You're going to get x squared minus 9. So it's the first part squared, second part squared with a subtraction sign in the middle. So what am I going to get here? Yeah, square root's gone. Minus the quantity a plus 5. All over h times the quantity square root of a plus h plus 5 plus square root of a plus 5. Remember what I said. I said everything that doesn't have an h is going to cancel. What cancels in the numerator? The a's cancel. The 5's cancel. And you're left with h over h times. Exactly. And so now you can see the h's cancel as well, leaving with 1 over the square root of a plus h plus 5 plus the square root of a plus 5. What's that? Every class has brought this up. You guys are used to this. You cannot leave the square root in the denominator when it's a number because this is irrational. But is this irrational? No. So if there's a variable included, you can leave the square root in the denominator. Okay? Yes. So we do our last example. And this example we're going to do is fairly challenging. And you might not even see it all the way through the first time, but I promise you this, you will not get an example this hard on your test, okay? But this would be the content limit of how difficult of a problem you should be able to do at this point. Now, when you get to calculus, we'll give you ones that are significantly more challenging than that, but we're not ready for that yet. We're just kind of we're laying the framework so when you take that class someday, you know what the heck you're doing, okay? Otherwise, it'll be pretty tough. So, again, I have my rule. I'll start writing over here, f of a plus h minus f of a all over h. So what does this look like if I plug in a plus h? Good. 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 Boom. So I've got a plus h, I've got the a, and it's all over h. Now, again, it looks ridiculous to say this, but everything that doesn't have an h in the numerator is going to cancel, and then the h will divide off. It doesn't look like that seems feasible, but it will. And if we want to get rid of square roots, instead of doing math, we do Spanish. So we multiply by the conjugate. Yes. Tell Ms. Surfling that. Yes. So the only thing I change is instead of a minus, it's a plus. That's the conjugate. And if you are ever in Spanish class and you get tired of how many different ways there are to conjugate a verb, in Greek there are 512 ways to conjugate each verb. No, I'm not kidding. What's it? What's estado? Does that mean study? Oh, against estado. Yeah. Oh, all right. All right. Okay. Now we got a lot of stuff up here. What do I get now? 16. Way to go, Jenna. 3 minus 2 times a plus h. Then what? Good. All over. H times, yeah. And yeah, the denominators usually get kind of messy in these situations, but it's okay. In calculus, the big idea is to make sure that everything that doesn't have an h cancels the numerator and that you can divide the h off. If we can make that happen, then beautiful things are possible, okay? All right, so, whoa, 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 whoa. I can't just cancel the 16s off right now. What? Come on, I got to distribute, right? 48 minus 32a is 32h. Sweet. Okay, now what? Okay, 48s are gone. They don't have an H. They should go away. 32A's. Sweet. Is there an H in the numerator? Is there an H in the denominator? Gone. Are we done? What could you take out of the bottom? Oh, 4. Would that divide with the top? It would. Oh, no. Mr. Gentz is making us try to reach our potential. He's a bad teacher. I want a teacher who doesn't challenge me. Okay, there we go. So we've got a negative 8 on top. And that's the final expression. It looks ugly, but this expression has power to change the world. If we couldn't come up with this type of expression, we would not have satellites in the air. We would not be on the moon. You wouldn't have your technology with your phones or anything, okay? This made calculus possible, and it's a beautiful thing, okay? So you want a worksheet, right? Okay.